Alright, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Minecraft video on the Farside server. I'm Atyrum, and in today's video, as promised, I'm going to be doing a UHC recap on the Farside vs Minecraft UHC. If you have not yet seen that for whatever reason, I would recommend going back and watching that. At least watch the end so you know how it ends if you're going to watch the rest of this video, because I will be spoiling it if you have not seen the ending of it. Anyways, before I get to that, there is some work I've been doing off camera that I'd like to show off before I really get into stuff. Over here, as you can see, there's a path that actually leads all the way up here, and I think my texture pack is the wrong texture pack. Let me fix that real quick so everything looks the same, rather than having some stuff that's still vanilla and some stuff that's on the 32x32 faithful pack. Anyways, as you can see, I put some paths down around here. I have a beacon on Haste 2. I think I did that on camera last time. And I have kind of a town center right here. There's a little fountain in the middle. And I have spaces set out for buildings, but I haven't actually built the buildings yet. But these will be shops of some kind, some fashion. They probably won't each sell a whole bunch of stuff. They'll probably each sell one thing, because I mean I don't have that much I need to sell. And I don't know how much of a hotspot this place is going to become, because we have so many shops over at spawn. Of course, this isn't very far away, so I don't think it's too much of a problem to have some of my own shops over here. And of course, I'm still planning on building at least one more shop in spawn, as well as finish out the White House and give that an actual purpose. In here, I've been digging this out, and I'm gonna do something really cool with this. So you'll just have to wait and see what that is. But right now, I'm just working on digging it out, and it's actually really fun digging out stuff like this, because when you have the haste beacon, and it just goes so fast. I mean, I think I have an efficiency 5 pick, and haste 2, it just bam! It's like digging sand or dirt with a really good shovel, and it's like, wow, this thing digs fast. Anyways, so while I'm doing the UHC recap, which I'm about to get to, I'm actually going to be heading to the Ender farm and doing some enchanting, and then I'll be heading back here and possibly doing some building on camera if I'm not finished talking about what I need to be talking about. So that's the plan for this episode. I'm going to go toss my cobble in the... I don't know if I showed this on camera before. I think I was walking around down here when I was doing the quick update on certain things after the end of the UHC, when I was talking about my microphone and my new mouse. I think I ran down here. I didn't really explain what this is, but this is my overflow storage. I mean, I do think I showed you guys a sign, but so basically how this works is anything that I have a whole lot of, I keep down here. I already filled up 2 double chests of cobblestone, and that's just from digging out stuff around here. I still have tons and tons of cobblestone at my other 2 bases. And then I have netherrack, grass, and dirt, which I get a lot of. Grass, you would think you don't get a lot of grass, but I mean, since I have a silk touch shovel, and that's like my main shovel, I tend to get a lot of grass. So, anyways, I believe I have diamonds in my ender chest. I don't think I really need anything else. I have lapis and diamonds. Let's bring some books in case I decide to do some book enchanting. I got almost a stack of books right there. Is any of this stuff I want to bring? Smite, blah 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 blah. None of this really looks like something I need. I do want to work on possibly getting a better sword, because this one's only sharpness 4, and it doesn't. It's only got 3 enchants on it, where you can go for more than that. But anyways, Tortimer's actually online right now, and as you can see, there's actually a death count on the server now. I think this is my first time logging on since the death count got added in, so obviously I haven't died yet. I don't die a whole lot. I mean, I wear pretty good armor around, and I don't go running into groups of mobs, and I don't know. Anyways, so I'm heading to the Ender, and right now the hub is still in a state of being worked on or not really being worked on, and stuff isn't really labeled yet, so it's kind of hard especially if we added new people in the server. I think we have a couple new people who might be joining pretty soon, but it's gonna be hard for them to figure out where stuff is without somebody giving them a tour and letting them know, because stuff isn't labeled all that well. I mean, I don't even know where some stuff is. Some people's houses, and they're out of spawn bases. I just don't know where they are. But anyways, so I keep talking about this UHC recap that I want to do, and I haven't gotten to that yet. So I think I should probably get to that. The reason I like to do this, and I did this for my last, I'm going to turn around my sounds for hostile creatures, because Endermen are really loud. Really, really loud. Anyways, the reason I like to do this is it's kind of like a review of... Whoa, what are you guys doing in here? Oh no 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 no! I thought they teleported when you lit them on fire. I thought they just could teleport away when I hit them, but no, they started attacking me. Anyways, so the reason I do these recaps, it's like a review of my season, and I kind of want to like I go over what I did well and what I didn't do so well and what I can improve for next season. And this is for my own benefit as well as for the benefit of anybody watching it, because I mean you can watch my UHC and say, hey, I like what you did here, and I'm going to adapt that strategy to my own UHC playing. I mean, that's the same kind of attitude I have about like making videos about Minecraft in general. Is like you look at somebody's building style and all that kind of stuff, and you kind of take inspiration from that and incorporate it into your own building style. I mean, that's why I think Minecraft is such a big game for LPs, because everybody does it their own way. It's not like a linear game or anything like that. But anyway, so that's kind of why I do the recaps. Is I want to give you guys some perspective on what I was thinking. Obviously, I was talking over it at the time, so I kind of gave you some thoughts on what I was thinking, but I didn't have time to say everything, and there's some stuff that I have a different perspective on now that I'm looking back on it. After having seen everybody's perspective, I'm recording this the day after the last episode went off, so I did get to see Fargo's perspective, and, well, I suppose we can get into the recap. We'll start at the very beginning. Our teams were randomized, and I was put on a team with Kaniva, and I know he's pretty good with UHC, so I was definitely looking forward to a good season. I was thinking, yep, we definitely got a good chance. I mean, looking at the players that were playing, I didn't really know much about the Minecraft players. The Ender Farm's kind of slow today. I didn't really know much about any of the Minecraft players. I think I had looked up some of their UHC videos, but I didn't really get a whole lot of perspective on how good they were. So I didn't know what to expect going in as to how good they were at UHC. But from our side of the thing, I definitely knew that Kaniva was pretty good. Sneak plays a lot of UHC, so I was definitely looking out for him. I know Sandy's played quite a bit of UHC too, so I wasn't gonna think that she's not very good, obviously. But Urt and Fargo, I wasn't really sure about. And of course the Minecrafters I really didn't know, so I just assumed, based on the fact that they had, or at least Fargo had kind of sought us out and told us that they were kind of seeking this kind of Farside versus Minecraft Ultra Hardcore, I kind of assumed that they would be really good at UHC or something like that, because they were seeking out another servers to play with them. I don't know if that really makes sense, but that's kind of what I was thinking. So I assumed the worst. I assumed that they were all really good at UHC. So I assumed like they were going for a chance, and they were going for like basically full out all that stuff. And then I realized when I watched the perspectives that some of them weren't so great. And I mean, some of it was luck. They just didn't get lucky. Sometimes they just didn't play as smart as they could have, and they didn't go for a chance when maybe they could have. I don't know. I can't remember if the team I'm thinking of actually found enough diamonds, or if they just went for swords, because I know that was something I was thinking about doing. But anyway, so like I said, I was going to start at the very beginning, which is our teams, and we had some issues getting started, and we had like a false start where we got teleported all to our locations, and it was like people starting getting achievements, and we're like, wait, we're not starting it, we didn't get an official start, go type thing. So Kaniva and I were just standing around for all that time, and meanwhile people getting achievements, and we were basically yelling in chat, hey, stop, 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 but they weren't paying attention, and they just kept going. And then like some people started lagging and stuff, and when the night fell, we had a whole bunch of people die to mobs, and apparently they had lagged out of the game, so it wasn't like their fault. So we ended up just saying, yeah, we can't do that, we have to restart. One thing that was interesting is that, well, to begin with, we didn't have a whole lot of players, which kind of sucked, because I mean, you'd think having two servers participating, you'd have quite a bit of players, but we only had 12, which isn't like a huge number. But of course, we had a small map, so small maps definitely make the numbers seem larger. It was only 1,000 by 1,000, so there's definitely a good chance to find people. And of course, in the beginning, we did find people, and I was kind of stupid about that. I mean, Kaniva said, "Don't let them see you." But I mean, I was kind of already running towards them. I figured they would see me anyways. But honestly, I could have gotten away and not had them see me. Of course, I mean, I'm pretty sure they wanted to get away from me. But I mean, as it turns out, when I watched their perspective, they were trying to figure out which way to go. I mean, I had tried to get away from them, and apparently Sneak flipped a coin, and that coin basically decided his fate and Kaniva's fate when it kind of sent them towards us. and that's how we all ended up in the same area. I mean, Kaniva and I were near the wall, and they basically went that way, and it's completely unintentional. It may have seemed like we had stalked them or something if you hadn't watched our perspectives, but I mean, really, it was just coincidence that that happened that way. And I mean, I would have rather that we didn't have to fight in the second episode, or that we didn't have any encounters in the first episode, because I don't know, it kind of sucks to have that kind of thing happen. I mean, PvP is off for that reason, so everybody at least gets a first episode off or out, and so everybody has at least a chance to do something and get geared up before someone like sneaks up on them with a stone sword and kills them within the first like 5 minutes, because that would really suck. I do have 30 levels. I need to figure out how many levels it takes to enchant this pick, or repair this pick. So, where was I going? I lost my train of thought. Alright, so this is very cheap to repair, so I'll do that real quick. And these Endermen, it seems like the Enderman farm is really working slow lately. I'm not sure why exactly that is. I've never actually built an Enderman farm, so I don't know how exactly that works. But anyways, so when it came to that fight, I mean, there's a lot of things that I think we could have done better when we went after them. I know we started digging to them, but then we found the cave that they were in, and Kaniva just kind of goes through the cave. I think it would have been better to actually dig straight to them, because then you have more of an element of surprise, and they don't know where you're coming from. Whereas if you go through the cave, there's only a limited number of places you can kind of come from here. I mean, Sneak. I mean, it's not Sneak. Kaniva did get the jump on Sneak, but then Sneak kind of turned things around, and I think he was jumping and getting crit hits, and Kaniva was not, and that's how he kind of caught up in terms of damage, and they ended up taking each other out. But I think we could have done that a whole lot better. I think if we had communicated a bit better and tried to coordinate an attack, so that maybe we could see both their name tags. I'm pretty sure. I know I could at least see Sandra's name tag while Kaniva was attacking Sneak. So I think if maybe we had each dug to one of them and then tried to get the jump on them, I think things would have turned out a whole lot differently. I mean, I know I seemed really bloodthirsty in watching that footage back. I keep talking about how I wanted to kill Sandra, and honestly, that's just because our teams had an encounter, and I felt like there was kind of unfinished business there, and that, well, Kaniva took out Sneak, but then Sandra got away, and I was like, dang it, I mean, it wasn't like one of us was low on health. We were in the same like situation in terms of like armor, I'm pretty sure, and weapons, so... And honestly, without having arrows with my bow, I did have a bow, which I got really lucky with a couple spiders that basically really just lined up to get killed by me. And that was really lucky, but I didn't have any arrows, so that really sucked. And I think if we had arrows, and if I had... I mean, I went out looking for chickens, so it's not for a lack of trying, but if I had arrows, then that encounter would have gone a lot differently. I feel like we could have wiped at least one of them out without taking any damage, because they did not have bows or arrows at that point in time. I mean, even digging through a cave, going through close quarters, a bow... I mean, if you're digging from above, then a bow will absolutely wreck them. And it just kind of sucks that we didn't have arrows. I know that's a very persistent problem I have in UHCs, is I don't have arrows. I'm usually pretty good at getting a bow early on, and I usually do get at least some arrows, but I always have a problem having enough arrows. And I don't have the greatest aim, so when I want to get into a bow battle with someone, my best bet is just to spam arrows as much as possible. And in order to do that, obviously I need a lot of arrows. So I think in future UHCs, I'm going to put even more emphasis on spending as much time as possible up on the surface trying to get getting arrows and all that kind of stuff. And I think if we get some larger UHCs going, where we actually have larger maps, I think there's a better chance I'll be able to find chickens, because with the smaller maps, I mean, there's a much bigger chance that you're going to run across other players, or run across areas other players have been through and possibly already killed all the chickens in. So I think if we have bigger maps, more players, then we might have a better chance of finding chickens. So, yeah, hopefully, maybe we can get more people joining on the Farside server. I don't know. I can't say anything about the application process. You can't apply to join the Farside server at this point in time, and I can't really say anything about who we might be considering, or how we decide who to add, because it's not really my place to say. But I really do hope we get some more members going, because right now at most I think we have like 16 or 17 players. I mean, that's still a fairly small UHC. I mean that's small, medium-sized UHC. And there's no way we'll ever get everyone in a UHC at one time because people just have conflicts. So it'd be great if we could have more members so we have a bigger chance of having a larger UHC. I mean, I'd love to have a UHC that has, like, say, 18 people in it, so we could have 6 teams of 3. Or, I mean, heck, even having, like, 16 people and doing solo free-for-all, and that would just, there'd be so many battles going on and just so many perspectives to watch and so much going on. I mean, that's probably why the smaller teams are better, especially when you have fewer people, is because it means more action. If you have like a whole bunch of big teams, or you just have, I mean, you have just a couple big teams, then you really don't have as much action. I mean, unless people kind of split up and end up killing each other off. Let's see. All right, where was I? I was talking about how Sandra escaped from us, and I really wanted to go after her, but I was kind of slow in doing it because I half expected her to come after me, but half expected her to just run away. I didn't really know. I mean, I kind of felt like she would run away, but at the same time, I knew she has some UHC experience. So she may have wanted to get the jump on me. I mean, I wasn't shifted the whole time. I was going through inventory that Conniver and Sneak dropped. So she could have really got the jump on me right then. And honestly, probably could have killed me if she had gone after me. But I think she decided to run away. Well, obviously she did. I saw her perspective. And I went looking for her, trying to figure out which way she went, and it turns out that she didn't dig up. I kind of figured she would have dug up or something like that, or maybe she was still hiding. I checked under some cobblestone thinking that maybe she was just shifting under one of those, and I mean, that would have kind of sucked if you just hid under cobblestone and shifted under there, because you're awfully easy to find doing that. So I think I should have expected better of her, because I don't think she'd be dumb enough to do something like that, but I think my problem in not being able to find her was that I spent too much time down underground. If I really wanted to find her, and I had no way of knowing if she was going to run for it or if she was going to come and engage me. But if I had known that she was going to run for it, I probably would have wanted to like dig straight up and head her off on the surface if I wanted to get into a fight. But of course, considering the fact that I didn't have full iron armor, and I think she actually got full iron armor after she escaped from me, like right when she went back up through the cave, it would not have been a good matchup. If I had arrows, obviously I would have been fine, but I think it's probably better that we didn't get into a fight, because a sword fight between 2 players early on is just going to end in either, well, obviously both players dying, or one player dying and the other being severely damaged without really gaining much. I mean, we got a couple diamonds off of that, but other than that, you don't get a whole lot from killing somebody that early in the game. I think I got like 8 gold from them too, so I got an apple. The first damage I took was really stupid. I just kind of jumped at a zombie too quickly and he took a heart off me. But honestly, it didn't end up mattering that much. And I actually didn't even take damage for quite a while later until there was some random damage I took while... I remember it was while Yurit and... was it Keybon were fighting? Yeah, I think Keybon was the one who portaled into their base first and got in a fight with them. But I took random damage while that was happening, and I was just like, what the heck just happened? And then, oh, there was fighting going on. And for some reason, the first thought that went into my head was, okay, somehow the fact that they're fighting is damaging me, or somehow, I don't even know. But I think the most likely thing that happened is a spider or some other kind of mob that was around the wall somehow hit me like through the corner or something. I think that's probably the most likely explanation. I suppose I should figure out what to enchant next. Let's see what I can get with a book here. And I got a lot of inner pearls I don't really need. Can I dump them in a chest somewhere, or are these all full? Let's just kind of dump them in a corner over here. You can't... I was wondering if you could double shift click the stuff in your inventory and just toss it out, but you can't. Anyways, I'm going to enchant a book real quick here, see if I can get like some sharpness or something on it. Anyways, so... fire protection, do not want that. I need to enchant something else then, dang it. That's why I don't like this enchanting system, is you can't cycle stuff. It kind of sucks. I'm going to go for a new sword, see if I can get something good on that. So, after Sandy escaped from me, I do need lapis, dang it. So after she escaped from me and I went back up to the surface, and I think I ended up basically heading right back down again. Oh, that's a crappy sword. That's going on my wall of shame. Anyways, so once she got away from me, and I headed back up, and it was turning nighttime again already, so I just headed right back down into a cave again, and did some more caving, and basically, I mean, honestly, I think the thing I did best in this UHC was staying ahead of the environment and keeping the amount of damage I took to a minimum. I mean, there were points where I kind of got impatient and ended up running into caves stupidly and taking a little bit of damage, but overall, I mean, I never once dropped below 8 hearts. I stayed at about 8.5 like the whole game. At one point, I was at 8 hearts and I took an apple, but that was the lowest I ever got in terms of health. So I think that's really saying something for, I mean, my skills in taking on the environment in the game. Or at least, or maybe it's just my luck, or maybe it's the fact that I'm better at coordinating myself when I'm running solo rather than in a team. I don't know, but I think that's probably where I shone. For some reason, that's my point, my shining point, my shone. I don't know. I feel like the word shone just didn't make sense in that context. Like the way I said it, I said shone. That's really where I shone. For some reason, that doesn't sound like a word to me. I don't know why. Anyways, that's probably what I did best this season of UHC. Let's go for that, I suppose. Yeah. Anyways, so I went into the cave again. I went caving, and I came back up to the surface. Third episode, I had found. I believe this was the third episode. I went up to the surface and found some more chickens, and I ended up getting a couple arrows. And I decided, hey, I mean, I'm up on the surface. It's daytime. I have arrows. I'm gonna assume that most players don't, or that, I mean, the fact that I'm on the surface means I can probably run away from players if I see them if I really need to. So I really wanted to find players at that point. I mean, one thing I was afraid of when I kind of got left on my own was that I was going to end up just hiding in a hole the whole game and just caving and going for maximum stuff. So I wanted to make sure I was at least playing somewhat aggressively. I know my caving style is like super careful, so I wanted to make sure I was at least making an effort to get into some fights to make my perspective more interesting. But of course, as I was running around the surface, I did not find anyone, which kind of sucked. But I mean, I put in the effort. I was running around talking about how I wanted to find players. Although, I mean, I was sticking to the edge, but I think people do stick to the edge at the beginning of a UHC. And that's usually what people... That's at least my opinion. When I want to dig down at the beginning, I just want to stick to the edge because it's less likely that people will stumble upon you because there's less ways they could come from, if that makes any sense. But fire protection 3, dang it. Let's just enchant that just for the sake of cycling it. It's probably easier to just do that. I have plenty of books. So I didn't find any players. I ended up digging down again, and I was still looking for diamonds. I had 2 diamonds, so I could have made a sword. I mean, if I really wanted to, but I wanted to save it and really try and go for those enchantments, because enchantments are really the best thing you can have. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I should have tried to find another team and kill them for their diamonds and enchantments or something like that. Okay, that sound there, I don't know if you can hear that background sound there. It just scared me like crazy. I don't even know why. I mean, it's like midnight right now. It's really dark, so I suppose that might be it. I mean, Minecraft really shouldn't be a scary game, but that just freaked me out for a second there. I don't know. It was just kind of weird. Anyways, so digging down, trying to find diamonds again. I kept coming across gold while I was trying to dig to caves and stuff, and I was kind of having a hard time. I always have a hard time like figuring out exactly where a sound is coming from. Like I can hear where it's coming from, and I try and dig towards it, but then it's like, nope, not finding it. I just have the hardest time trying to find a cave when I'm just digging towards a sound. But I found a lot of gold while digging to it, and I ended up getting quite a few apples. Luckily, Conniva had actually gotten like 5 apples while he was up on the surface at the beginning of the game. And I think I said something like, oh, I'm glad that Sandy and Sneak got these apples for me, because I completely forgotten that Conniva said, hey, I got 5 apples. So I didn't realize that I had gotten those from him, but I think I realized that at the end of the game or something like that. But yeah, so I'm glad he got all those apples, because that really helped me along. Saved me the time and effort of getting all those apples up on the surface. And since I found all that gold, I had plenty of use for all those apples. Well, I didn't have plenty of use for all those apples, because I didn't take all that much damage, but it was nice to have those apples, because I got all the gold to make the golden apples with. Protection 4, I suppose that can be useful. And power 4, my bow's already power 5, so I suppose I'll save that. What am I missing? I'm missing flame and punch on my bow right now, so I could add those if I could get a book for those. So what I didn't realize when I dug down is that how close I was to actually another team, which was the team that yellow team, Saxon and Landstrider. And apparently they were in the taiga biome that was right near me. That's where they had been caving. I think they went down and they didn't really ever come back up since the first episode. And I think it was in episode 5 that I actually finally saw Landstrider's name tag. And I just think it's amazing that it took so long for either of us to see each other, because since we were caving in such close proximity, I mean, it wasn't like I saw his name tag and he was really far away. He was really close right then, and I was like, wow, how did we never see each other before then? So of course I see him and I'm like, dude, he's at like 3 hearts or something. That's what he was at that point in time. I'm gonna go for it. And his teammate's at like 1 heart or whatever. So I started digging towards him and I saw him start taking damage and such, and I was like, wow, I don't want him to die to the environment like before I get to him, because that would kind of suck. I mean, I'd get some free stuff, but I mean, I already knew that they probably didn't have gold, or at least not much of it. So I mean, I wasn't really thinking I was gonna gain much from killing them. I just kind of wanted to go for it because PvP is fun. So I dug straight to him, and I kind of goofed when I was going for him. And there's that punch book I was talking about. Let's go add that to my bow. 27 levels, exactly what I have. So I kind of goofed when I was digging to him. And I dug a block that was almost under him. I was trying to get directly under him, because if I could break that block, I mean, he almost might have died from fall damage. I don't know if that was high enough. But then I really could have gotten an easy jump on him. But I realized that trying to dig a block out from underneath somebody when you're trying to stay hidden is probably not the best idea. I mean, you probably want to go for trying entering their cave from like below them, but kind of like so their legs are at your eye level. I think that's probably the best way to do it if you want to get a shot off on them, or if you want to hit them. I mean, otherwise, I mean, you have a really low chance of really getting them if they're moving around, getting right underneath them and knocking that block out. So that wasn't really a good move, and not something I'm going to do again if I ever get into that same situation again. But what's funny is watching his perspective. He has no idea what's going on. He thinks Saxon just dug that block out from below him and then shifted and put a cobblestone in place of it. And he's like, "Oh, you didn't put this cobblestone block there?" And then Saxon has a face cam while he's playing, and just watching his reaction to it as he realizes what's going on, and then suddenly just bam, I shoot Landstrider, and he's like, oh it's like just the reaction on his face is just amazing, because it's just like he did not expect it. Considering that he hadn't seen me at all, he didn't see my name tag at all. I mean, it's just like out of nowhere this player comes up and shoots somebody, and it's like, wow, that just came out of nowhere. I know that would suck for if that happened to me. I know I would have been surprised too, but I didn't after the battle. I mean, I kind of looked around through Landstrider's stuff, and I didn't really see much. I think he really just had basic iron tools and maybe a little bit of gold. I think he had just mined like a couple gold ore, and I think those got picked up and put in my inventory. I'm not sure. I didn't really keep track of it, but I didn't really see anything. I didn't bother really shifting through his inventory because it looked like he just had basic iron tools, and I didn't see any smelted gold, I didn't see any diamonds, so I didn't really worry about it too much. And the cave, I mentioned that the cave was dark and dangerous and stuff, and I didn't want to... I had seen him taking damage, so I assumed there were probably skeletons around or something, and he had been running from those, so I didn't want to stay around that cave. So I tried digging around. Saxon was like really far away, so I was kind of trying to dig to him, but then I kind of lost him, and I got caught up in going into a cave. And honestly, I had the same issue I had with Sandra when she got away, is that I was just too slow in going after him, and he basically went straight up. I should have figured that he would have definitely not want to fought me, and I should have definitely like dug up and tried to head him off up on top, especially since I did have a bow, so I would definitely have an advantage up above where there's plenty of open space. But I didn't really think of that at the time, but I think in the future, definitely I'm going to go for, if my team kills somebody on one person on a team, and the other person is likely to run, I definitely want to dig up and try and head them off up on top. I mean, if I can see their name tag from down below and I know about where they are, I can kind of figure out where they're going to dig up, and I can really catch them off guard up there, especially if I'm shifting like right near where they dig up, and I just get a shot off on them or whatever. So I feel like, I mean, he didn't really have all that much either at that point in time. So it wouldn't really have benefited me, but I mean, I just like the feel of getting kills in UHCs. And he ended up dying to environment damage, which really sucks. I mean, nobody wants to die to environment. I think it would have. I mean, I'm sure he enjoyed having survived a bit longer, but I think it's a bit more honorable to die to a player than it is to environment. So, I mean, he lasted a lot longer than I would have expected, considering he only had half a heart for all that time. I definitely wrote him off. Like, as soon as I lost track of him, I was like, I don't really care because there's no way he's recovering from that. I don't think he ever recovered health, but he actually did last quite a while. So that definitely says something for his survival skills, even if he took a lot of damage early on. And I think some of that was due to him messing around with commands and getting surprised by stuff while that was happening. Or actually, there's one issue he had with lag when one of the teams entered the Nether, so that might have had something to do with it. Just getting unlucky. And of course, they didn't get very lucky with gold, it looks like. And yeah, so I had the potential to get another kill, but I mean, I didn't really take that opportunity. So I just had the one kill going into the finale. And alright, so after that, I think after that kill, I actually stayed in the caves until like the end game, and I decided I was geared up enough. So I was basically caving for quite a while, and I did eventually find diamonds. It was like in the 7th episode or something, and that's like really late. I mean, I think that's really late. I mean, usually I think people are geared up by then or working on getting all their stuff, like getting protection 2 and sharpness 2 and all that kind of stuff by that point in time. So I really felt like I was behind, but in watching other perspectives, I mean really the only team I was behind was Urt and Fargo, who had chance and potions. And I also realized that they didn't have strength potions, which really would have changed my view of how much of a threat they were, because strength potions were really the thing I was afraid of. Speed potions, I mean, yeah, they can be scary, but strength potions are really the thing that I was afraid of. And also healing potions. They did not have any healing potions because I don't think they found a mine shaft at all. I mean, that's really the only place you can find melons. Unless you can find them in villages, I'm not sure. But there weren't... I don't think there were any other villages besides the one that we found in the beginning of the game, which did not have a blacksmith, I don't believe. So that wouldn't have helped much. So I think by this point, some people have started going down. I think Keybon and Daikon were dead. Obviously, so we were down to fewer people. I was starting to feel a bit more confident in my abilities to win, and when I found diamonds, it was just like, yep, I totally got this. I mean, I was definitely scared of Urt and Fargo. I mean, I really didn't know what to expect in terms of their skill in UHC, because I really hadn't like watched UHCs from them before, so I really didn't know what to expect from them. But since I saw them going to the Nether, and I saw Urt getting a lot of kills. I think he had like 3 or 4 kills in the season, so I saw him getting all the kills, and I was like, yeah, they're definitely someone to watch out for. I mean, they're low in health, but it seems like they're definitely a threat. So they were probably the team I was looking out for the most. But the light blue team, Airy Moss and Shadow something. I didn't know anything about the Minecrafters, so I didn't know. I kind of expected that they would be all enchanted up and everything, but it turns out they were not. Until they actually killed Sandra and they got her enchants, but of course, like right after that, they ended up getting killed by Fargo and Urt. So while they were enchanting, they got caught by surprise, which was pretty funny to watch because it's just like out of nowhere. I think his Daikon was in his enchanting screen, and suddenly he's just dead, like out of nowhere. It's like, whoa, what the heck just happened? And yeah, let's see. So I got my enchanting going. I got sharpness 3 and power 3 on my sword and my bow. So that was amazing. I mean, that really gave me some confidence that I could really take on some stuff. And I realized in the final fight how powerful a power 3 bow was, because I ended up taking like 2.5 hearts with every hit on Fargo, and he had enchanted armor and everything. I don't know exactly what he had. I don't remember what it was. I know I watched his perspectives, but I'm not sure if I remember seeing what he had exactly. I didn't go. I maybe should have gone for some better armor. But I was kind of running low on levels, and I wanted to go for I figured it better, you know, the saying that the best defense is a good offense. So I figured I'd just go for the best sword and bow I could go for, use my levels in that, rather than trying to spend them on getting some better armor. So I just had level 1 enchants on all my armor, which, I mean, isn't great, but I mean, it'll do the trick, I mean, for the most part. Alright, so basically after that, I mean, the teams got whittled down in episode 8. I mean, Sandra got killed off. I mean, like I said, I really wanted to kill her because it was kind of unfinished business, and I felt like our teams had collided and nothing had really come from that. It was just each of us had lost a teammate, and that was it. There was no battle between us. So I kind of wanted to have that battle happen at some point, but it never did. So, I mean, that's why I kept saying I want to find Sandra and kill her, because I wanted to finish the job. Basically, that's it. I don't have anything against her really, but it was just something that I felt like I really wanted to do. It was basically my goal for the UHC. Honestly, I wrote myself off as not being a winner as soon as I lost my teammate, because I was like, I've lost my teammate this early. I mean, I don't really have a good chance of winning against a bunch of teams. But I mean, considering how the game played out, and I mean, it seems like there weren't really any major battles, but just straight up battles between two teams. I mean, people got split up a lot, like through the Nether. Daikon and Keybon got split up through the Nether and got into fights separately. And I mean, obviously Sneak and Kaniva killed each other off, kind of separate from their teammates. I mean, I was right behind Kaniva, and Sandy was around, like, behind a wall from Sneak. But I mean, there was still a one-on-one fight. And then what else happened? I mean, Urit and Fargo went after Airy Moss and Shadow, but it wasn't even a battle. It was really just a run in there and slaughter them while they were doing their enchanting and stuff. So that wasn't really, I don't know. I'm trying to think, was there actually like a good 2-player versus 2-player battle? I mean, there were a lot of good battles that I really enjoyed watching, but there wasn't like a fully geared up, like, fights to the death out in the open between two teams. It didn't seem like we really had one of those. So that's kind of interesting that really never happened. It was really a lot of like 1v1s or stuff like that. So we're going into the finale. Airy Moss and Shadow had just been killed by Urit and Fargo. I had assumed that they had just kind of headed to 0-0 out of, like, just, it's just something you do when the game gets to that point. I mean, the game ended up being like 3 hours, so I kind of assumed people were starting to head in. So I just thought, hey, they're probably at 0-0. I'm going to head towards 0-0 and hopefully run across them before they have a chance to really sort through the stuff that they just, from Airy Moss and Shadows, and maybe I could catch them off guard. I mean, I was definitely expecting that I was going to come in there and have to fight 2 players. I got to 0-0, nobody's there. So I kind of look around for a bit, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to put some in chat, say head to 0-0, and I don't know. I mean, looking back on it, now that I've seen like what happened, I really wish I had just gone out and looked for them, because they really weren't that far away. I think I could have found them and probably got the jump on them and killed them if I had done that, because they were still like messing around with stuff. It ended up being like a couple minutes before they actually got going, and well, of course, Fargo ended up quote unquote betraying Urit, because I mean, they had talked it up so much. I mean, there was time for them to run over there and do the final battle, and I was definitely disappointed that I didn't get a real battle between them and me. I felt like there could have been a really good battle there. But they had been talking it up a lot, and it was just something that Fargo. I talked with Fargo after the match, because he knew that I was kind of disappointed with how it turned out. So he wanted to explain it to me, and he did explain it. And it's kind of like something, they talked it all up like they're gonna do it, and the other Minecrafters were kind of edging them on, and it was really done for reasons other than the game, obviously. I mean, obviously Urit did have to go, but the thing is, there was enough time for him to get to 0-0 and do a fight if they had just gone like right away. And of course, if maybe I had said just head to 0-0 right after they had killed them, maybe they would have rushed it a bit more and gotten there. And I don't know, but I mean, there was no way I could have known that Urit had to leave or something like that was going to happen. I mean, if they had said something, I would have preferred if they had said something in chat, like, Urit has to leave soon, can we meet up and fight? And I would have said, you sure. I mean, I was definitely ready at that point to fight, so I kind of wish something like that had happened instead, or I don't know. I mean, there's really no use in me trying to figure out better ways to have done that, because, like I said, I really didn't know that what was going on, that something like that was going to happen. So, I mean, it's really not my fault. I shouldn't beat myself up over it, but I mean, I was really looking forward to a good battle that really didn't end up happening. All right, there's my sharpness 5. That's nice. Let's go toss some more ender pearls. So you can definitely hear the disappointment in my voice when I saw Yurik get killed by Fargo, and I was like, dude, really? I mean, I knew Fargo's kind of a troll, and he messes around a lot. And I mean, I'm kind of the guy who messes around a lot, but when I play UHC, I'm pretty serious about it, and I kind of go in to win. I mean, I like to have fun too, but I do have the ultimate goal of winning, and I don't do stupid stuff like I would never consider killing my teammate for something like that. But I mean, yeah, he had to go, and I guess that's kind of what happens. But I don't know. I don't really know what to say about that. But I was definitely disappointed at the time. Still a little bit disappointed that I didn't get to have like a really close fight. I mean, honestly, I was like never in any danger. Like I said, I stayed above 8 hearts the whole game, even during the final fight. And when we got into that fight, I mean, I fully expected Fargo to have both his and Yurik's gear. So I definitely expected him to at least have a bow. I definitely expected the strength potions, and he didn't have either one of those, which really like caught me off guard when he showed up. And I just saw him with a sword in his hand, and he wasn't shooting back at me. I was like, wow, does he really not have a bow? Did he really not bring a bow to the final fight? I mean, I had fully expected that everyone had a bow by the end game, but as it turns out, I don't think Airy Moss and Shadows had bows at the end of the game either, so maybe it's not all that surprising that people don't get bows. People don't prioritize them as much as I do. But, I mean, the fact that he just started running at me, I was like, wow, really? And then I start firing at him, and I actually hit my opening shot. I mean, I'm not a good shot, but I was pretty proud of the fact that the first shot I fire off, I hit him. But then, I mean, I missed a couple times, and then he starts climbing the mountain. And I think this was probably my best move that I made during that fight, was I dropped the water bucket. And it was never something I would have thought of. It was just kind of a really spur of the moment. Hey, he's trying to climb up here. I could stop him with his water bucket. I mean, I've never thought about using a water bucket to stop someone like that before, and it really worked out well. And it ended up stopping him. I think I got one hit off on him while he's trying to swim around that, and so that worked out really well. I mean, I think if I had a lava bucket on me, I could have used that instead. But water's more quickly flowing, harder to get out of the way of because it moves faster. And I mean, obviously it doesn't do damage, but the fact that it keeps them down and keeps them stuck, so I can get more shots out of them, was really good. And so after that water bucket, he realizes he can't really climb the mountain up at me. I have the height advantage. I have arrows. I was running low on arrows, and he didn't know that, but I guess he kind of assumed that I was low on arrows for whatever reason. There was another creepy cave sound. I suppose it's not really creepy cave sound. It's just a creepy sound in general that Minecraft does. But I always call them creepy cave sounds. But I mean, he had no way of knowing that I didn't have enough arrows. But he kind of went on that assumption for some reason. I guess just because he wanted to. He wanted to assume he had a chance at getting at me, and he had speed potions. He was trying to run around and dodge all my arrows, and he actually did dodge quite a few. And that might have, I count that to the fact that I'm kind of a bad shot. I mean, I really did fire them like I had plenty of them. I just kept spamming them as much as I could because I just wanted to get those hits off on them, even though I didn't have too many. I mean, I feel like if I tried to be more careful with my shots, I probably would just ended up missing more. I think it's better for me to just try to rapid fire them, and that really gets more hits off than me trying to be careful with my shots. And honestly, I'm glad I ran out of arrows and didn't manage to just shoot him dead in the water, because he did end up swimming into the water. I got a hit off on him, and then I had 2 more arrows left. I missed both of them, and it really would have been a disappointing end to the season. I mean, it was already kind of disappointing. It wasn't really much of a fair fight, but it would have been extremely disappointing if I had basically just he was basically just sitting duck down there, and I was just firing at him. If he had never even had a chance to get a hit off on me, then that would have been really, really disappointing. So I'm glad that didn't happen, and I actually did lose all my arrows, and I ended up having to run down the hill towards him. I took my 1 golden apple at one point just to have it, and then I took the other one because I didn't understand how absorption hearts worked, and I thought maybe they stacked on top of each other, and I could eat all my golden apples and have a whole bunch of absorption hearts. But as it turns out, that doesn't work. So that's the only time I'm gonna make that mistake. I really felt dumb after that. I was like, wow, did I really just waste a golden apple? But honestly, it was the final battle, and he was at 1 heart, so I didn't really need them for anything at that point in time. So if there was any time to learn that kind of thing about how golden apples work, it was then. That was probably the best time for that to have happened. I still had 4 more golden apples I never ended up needing. So it was nice. I mean, I felt like I was more geared than I needed to be, but it's always better to be better geared than you need to be than to be under geared and end up losing because of it. So I run down the hill, and he tries to dump a lava bucket on me. He misses by quite a bit. I mean, if you could dump a lava bucket on someone, you really have to aim at them rather than trying to aim in front of them, especially quite a ways in front of them, because you're really just going to miss them. They can run around it easily, which I did. And when I went in for the kill, I kind of side jumped him, and he managed to get, I think, 2 hits off on me while I got 1 on him. So he did knock me down to like 9.5 hearts, but I mean that's counting my absorption. That took some of it. So at the end of the game, I was still at 9.5 hearts. I never dropped below 8 hearts. So my survivability this season was just really good, if I do say so myself. But I'm glad that it came down to a sword fight at the end, because otherwise it really would have just been me firing arrows down at him and finishing him off in the water, which really would have been a crappy end to a season. I mean, like I said, it really kind of was a disappointing end, because it was an archer against a swordsman, and I had the height advantage. He talked about how I had the terrain advantage. So, I mean, I was already at 0-0, so I kind of had gotten the scope of the area. So I definitely had the advantage in more ways than one. I mean, the only reason I didn't jump into melee earlier, I mean, besides the fact that I didn't have enough, I still had arrows for a while. I really expected him to have the strength potions. I mean, if you go to the Nether and get potions, but then not bother getting the extra blaze rods to make those strength potions, I mean, what's the point? I mean, you have swiftness, sure, but I mean that's not gonna do a whole lot for you. I mean, it's nice to have, but really they're best used in combination with the strength potions. So I think maybe for future seasons, if those guys decide to go to the Nether, if maybe I decide to go to the Nether, I need to make sure to get those strength potions, get an extra blaze rod or 2 to make those, because honestly strength would be really useful and could have really changed things. Well, I don't know, it really wouldn't have changed things in that battle. I mean, even if you got a hit or 2 off on me with strength, I mean, it wouldn't have done all that much. I still had more than full health counting the absorption, so it really wouldn't have changed the battle. I still would have had those arrow shots off on him, and I still would have gotten in the sword fight when he still only had 1 health. So if they had gotten health potions, that might have been a different story. I mean, really, I think the most disappointing part was the fact that Urt had to leave, and as it turns out, I think he stuck around in spectator mode during the fight. So it was disappointing that he actually that they decided to do that. But I don't know, it was a one-time thing, and I really hope this really was a one-time thing, because as fun as the rest of the UHC was, and there were some good fights in there that I definitely enjoyed. So if you only watch my perspective for some reason, you should definitely go check out some of the other ones, because there was some interesting stuff going on with nether portals and stuff, especially with Urt and Fargo. I think they had basically the best. Despite the fact that I won the UHC, I think they had the best UHC, because their team got the most kills, and they just like did the most stuff. They went for potions and enchants, and they had some crazy stuff going on with trapped nether portals and the other teams in their base and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, sure, I did a lot of stuff and I survived a long time, but I don't think I had the most interesting perspective for most of it. So yeah, like I said, I would definitely say that they had the best UHC in terms of entertainment value. So I mean, that's really why it's disappointing to me. It's not so much that I really needed that final fight to be challenging. It's more that after they had such a good season that Urt had to go, and it kind of ended off on that note, and it ended up being up to Fargo, who didn't even bring a bow. I mean, yeah, he was a bit flustered after the situation, so he didn't really think of it. But I don't know how you can go through if your teammate has enough string for a bow. I kind of assume they must have had more string at some point. I know he made a fishing pole at some point too. So I don't think that really. I wasn't really watching his perspective at that point when he was fishing. I was over at Urt's perspective, so I don't know if he really got much out of that fishing, but other than some fish, of course. But I think he really should have gone for a bow. He's mentioned that he's not very good with a bow, but honestly, I'm not either. But it's just so important to have that ranged option. I mean, you could try and say, hey, I'm gonna go for. When you have a team, you can say, hey, I'm gonna go for ranged, you go for melee. But both of you should be able to do both if the situation calls for it. I mean, that's probably the best way to do it. I mean, you should both have a decent sword and a decent bow. I mean, otherwise you're gonna end up in a situation where, I mean, one of you can't carry out your duty. Like maybe their swordman's going for your bowman, and your bowman's being, or your bowman's being attacked by their swordman, and your swordman is being shot by their bowman, and it's like, okay, what can we do in this situation? I mean, you really need to be able to do both. I mean, even if you're not good at it, I mean, just being able to fire off some covering fire so your teammate can do some stuff would be immensely helpful. So, yeah, definitely. I know since I have such an issue with arrows, I know next UHC I'm definitely going to make it a priority. I mean, even more than before, to try and get those arrows going and make sure I have a bow and everything within the first episode if possible. Because, I mean, it's really a deciding factor. I mean, I played a UHC, a non-recorded UHC, and someone actually killed me. I had full iron armor and like iron sword and everything. He only had a helmet and boots, but he had a bow. So we were on the surface, and he managed to kill me off. And that was probably one of my most embarrassing deaths, because he didn't even have full armor, and I don't think he had like I think he just had a stone sword. So it was like, I'm so much better geared, but you have the bow, so there's not much I can do in this situation. You can kind of hold me back. So that's really why the bow is so important. I mean, even if you're not very good at it, I mean, I think I'm decent. I'm okay at long range, but I think I'm actually pretty good at like medium range. I think that's really where I do good with the bow. So I don't know. I mean, one thing about UHC is if you get a lot of practice in it, you're gonna get a lot better at it. But I think like the charm of it kind of wears off. I don't know if you call it charm. Like the excitement of it wears off if you do it too much. And that's why I don't do other UHCs other than the Farside ones. And I used to play UHC on a server that I used to play on, but it wasn't all that often, so it wasn't a big deal. But I mean, I think the total number of UHCs I played is less than a dozen. And of those, I've only played like 3 that have been team games. So I don't have a whole lot of experience, but I mean, obviously I won a UHC, and I do know what I'm doing. I mean, I watch like all the Mynecraft UHCs, so I mean, obviously they're not the most pro UHC players, but I mean, you do learn a lot from that. I mean, I can kind of see where some of their failings are and all that kind of stuff, and try and adapt into my playstyle. And I look at, like that's why I do my reviews, so I can look at my own failings in UHC, what I did wrong, and I can kind of figure out how to fix that for next time. I mean, obviously I won, so I must have done something right. So there's obviously still some things I could have improved. I think overall the biggest thing is I think I should be more aggressive in going after players. I mean, that may not be the way to win. I mean, I think the way to win is to stay underground until you have your full enchants and all that, and diamond gear and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I want to play to be interesting and fun to watch, and more fun to play than just caving, because caving does get kind of boring after a while, especially if you're watching UHC and everybody's doing it. So I think next UHC I want to go for some earlier kills, try and get a bow right away or something, and try and kill people like really early on and get in fights and stuff, just to make things a lot more interesting, I think. So yeah, I think next UHC you can definitely expect a more aggressive Addy. I always hear people say stuff like, people have said to me that they think I'm like a threat in UHC. I mean, Fargo was saying how he thinks I'm really good at PvP. I know before we ever played UHC on the Farside server, I think Wumbo had said to me that he saw me as someone who was really threatening. And I'm not sure where that comes from. I don't know if it's just like my personality that makes it seem like I'm someone who's like really aggressive in UHC and like a good player or something. Because honestly, my PvP skills are not all that great. I mean, I don't even know how anyone could take me seriously in PvP after that encounter in Season 1 of Farside, where I really just froze up and just wildly fired my bow at Sneak when he was right at me, hitting me with his sword. It just seemed like such a stupid thing. And I don't know, I never really thought of myself as a great PvPer. And there's no other really places where I've shown PvP ability, so I'm not sure where people were getting the thought that I was good at PvP. But I mean, I suppose I'm okay. But I think really my strong point is more my strategy and staying alive against the environment. I mean, especially in this past season, that's probably what I did best. Was there anything else I wanted to say? Not really. I think there should be a new UHC coming soon, Farside UHC Season 3, hopefully sometime. I really don't want to do teams of 3. We did teams of 3 in the Farside UHC Season 3 that we never posted for various reasons. And that was really interesting. So I really hope we get to do teams of 3 again, but I think we need a lot more players on the Farside server in general, because I think we really should have at least 15 players to have 5 teams of 3 if we're going to do teams of 3, because otherwise there's just not enough players to do a decent match. So maybe doing that, or maybe doing solo UHC, although I don't know if I want to do solo UHC, because I basically just did a solo UHC. I mean, that's, since my teammate died like halfway through the 2nd episode, most of that was solo. But I mean, obviously, I think solo is probably where I do better at UHC, because I have more experience in solo UHC, which isn't saying a whole lot because I haven't played a whole lot of UHCs, period. But I think it's a lot easier for me to kind of figure out what I'm doing or coordinate myself in combat when I'm the only one I have to worry about and I don't have to worry about where my teammate is, what my teammate's doing. I think it's just a lot easier for me to handle myself than it is to worry about having a teammate too to worry about. I think that's really about it. I don't know how long I've been going. I feel like I've been talking a long time. I've just been standing around here at the Ender Farm, which honestly, it's not the most interesting footage, and I'm aware of that, but I feel like I had some interesting talk about this video, so I think that kind of makes up for it. And I mean, honestly, if this bored you, I'm assuming that people don't always just watch Minecraft videos and just stare at the screen the whole time. I mean, I know when I watch other people's Minecraft videos, I tend to do other stuff at the same time. Like sometimes I'll do some building or other menial tasks like strip mining and stuff like that. I tend to do that while watching other people's Minecraft videos because sometimes it's not the most interesting thing, but people who have interesting commentary and can kind of carry a good commentary throughout their episode, it makes good, like, I don't know if you really say background noise, because I really do listen to it. What? Okay, well, I guess I'm walking home. Anyways, I think if you have good commentary, then it makes something good to just listen to. I mean, you don't even have to be watching the actual video. I know if you were actually doing building and you're kind of talking about like, oh, I'm gonna put this block here, I'm gonna put this block here, and then you kind of do have to be watching so you can kind of see what's going on the screen. But if you're kind of just talking about something that doesn't really relate to what's on screen, you can really just do something else and listen to it, basically like a podcast or something like that. So I think that's probably what this episode was. I mean, honestly, it's not all that interesting to watch me punch Enderman a whole bunch. And really, I don't blame you if you weren't actually watching the video the whole time, if you just wanted to listen to me talk. I mean, I really think I did a good job this episode, keeping the conversation going, really. What was I even doing? I was going to drop off all my stuff, I think. This sword is very disappointing. I still need... What do I still need on this? I don't know if I want knockback on my sword. I mean, maybe... I don't like using knockback against mobs because of stuff like creepers and stuff. No, not creepers. Skeletons. Skeletons, it sucks to use knockback on skeletons because then they can keep shooting at you because they're right there. Or they're farther away now. And so I'm missing knockback. What's the other enchant that goes on swords? Because I have fire aspect and sharpness and looting. I feel like there's another one. Unbreaking. Unbreaking is what I don't have. Do I have any unbreaking books? I could have sworn I had some unbreaking books. Maybe I don't. Okay, maybe there's somewhere else. I don't even know. Anyways, so like I said, I mean, I don't really watch people's videos. I don't like stay tuned into their videos like the whole time. I mean, I'll do other stuff while I'm watching their videos. I just listen to the commentary. If they're talking about like something interesting is going on in their footage, I'll tune in like 100%. But usually, I mean, I don't just like sit there and watch the whole video 30 minutes through. I mean, that's a long video to just sit there and just watch the whole thing. So yeah. Anyways, that's enough of that tangent there. I think I'm about done for now. So next episode, I'll be doing some work outside, out back over here, and I think I got an interesting topic to talk about next time. And I've also got some interesting stuff I want to try out when I'm doing my building. I've got something I want to do while I'm building that should make it more interesting while I'm talking about the topic I want to talk about, which does relate to my personal life. So if you're interested in all of that, make sure you tune in next time. Looks like I didn't pick up all the cobblestone in here. Just gonna drop that there. We got a thunderstorm going on. I never even talked about that thunderstorm that went on during our game, but that's really what drove us underground. I know I kind of already finished wrapping up the UHC, but in the beginning, the reason we went to underground and the reason we didn't like get away from the other team was we had a thunderstorm going on, and it really is dangerous to run around up top when there's a thunderstorm or it's dark and there's monsters around. You don't really have all your armor yet, so that's why we didn't like just dig up straight away and get away from them, and that's probably why they didn't do the same either, is because, well, there's thunderstorm going on, there's all kinds of stuff up top, and it's just kind of scary. So yeah, anyways, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.